The big issue is that sustainability isn't just about ecological sustainability, it's also about economic and social sustainability. So it's not just about putting wind turbines and solar panels on the roof of your office building, it's also about looking at the social dynamics and the age balance of your organisation and making sure that the work community is a social community that works, and also looking at the economics of office design. In many ways, the most ecologically sustainable building is the building that's economically sustainable, in that we're using space very efficiently and we're maximizing the resources and the energy that we're expending.
The most sustainable building is one you don't build. If you think about many of the corporations, the major impact they make on the environment is through their buildings. Most of them have most of their energy use and environmental emissions associated directly or indirectly with buildings. So corporate real estate is an area where many corporations are looking to and say, how can we be better corporate citizens? And it's largely through better management and more green management of corporate real estate.
In my research, sustainability is about behavior. And I'm an architect by background, so I understand the issues about construction. But most of the concerns and most of the research has now been put into construction. Try to think the building automatization or construction methods to be more sustainable. And very little research is put how to enable people to behave in a way that they reduce energy.
Is global warming going to impact the workplace? I'm one of those classic doubters about the man-made impact of global warming. But what I see, and that is very important, I actually see people starting to behave individually to prevent their contribution in a negative way to global warming. So people on the scale of individuals are being much more cautious, are being much more careful, and people are demanding different ways of organizing, different ways of structuring the workplace to prevent global warming to develop even further than it currently is developing. So it's people, we institutionally and politically, we're still debating very much, but it's people that are saying, look, we don't know whether it's man-made. We don't know whether we have an impact on it, but let's be sure, let's prevent us from doing anything to negatively impact on global warming.
Most of the evidence we see is that the real ways to do it is about how you operate the buildings you've got, because that's what is mostly around us, and it's the day-by-day activities of people, the knowledge of the technical guys who run buildings, and the knowledge of users that's actually where the real challenge is. And that ends up boiling down to the same lessons that come out of any workplace design issue, which is deal with people.
I would think the forms that we have of organizations today really came about in the late 19th century, middle to late 19th century, and it was based on the military, command and control hierarchies. That was the only model they had in the late 19th century, mid to late 19th century. The only model was the military. That's how you organize men to do this sort of work. And Henry Ford very famously said, I don't want to pay for the worker's head, I only want his arm. That's gone. That's really, I mean, we still have to manufacture things, but robots, technology, and very cheap labor has displaced that. Everyone has to make money in different ways, and all those things are forms of knowledge: persuasion, creativity, design, various things, because you can't make, you know, a perfect example of this is Milan. You go to Milan, it's the second richest city in continental Europe. There's no manufacturing in Milan at all. What there is design. And they make a lot of money at that. So we have to fight more in terms of creating wealth. It's not going to be on manufacturing, and the firms are still organized on manufacturing basis. And that all has to, it's going to change, will change, although I don't think many of them will voluntarily change. I think they'll just sink like the dinosaurs into the mud and never know why they died. Will it look like a university? Maybe it'll look like Oxford or the Sorbonne or Harvard. Will it look like the UN or the World Bank? Will it look like a giant think tank? Will it look like something you and I haven't thought about yet? But it won't look like what it looks like now, because the sources of its value has shifted. It will not look, you won't have these large, hierarchical, silo-based firms anymore. Another reason people don't want to work in them. They don't like working in those firms. They're not fun. Your ideas don't get heard. They're bureaucratic. And the people who rise to the top are not the people you most admire or respect. They're people who have power and focus, and they say, I'm going to get ahead. But it's not people you really want to make decisions for you. So I think these firms will be much flatter. They'll be much more knowledge intensive, where the rewards will go more for finding ideas, developing ideas, sharing ideas. They'll look very good. Maybe they'll look like McKinsey.
You know, I just constantly go back to the ancient Chinese proverb, may you live in interesting times, and we certainly do.
You